Hi guys, you're welcome back to my channel. My name is Nancy, and if this is your first time here, you're also welcome. Kindly subscribe, share and like my videos, and also put on your notification bell to be notified when I upload new tutorials. To achieve this style, you'll be needing 2 yards of Ankara print fabric for the body of the dress. And to achieve the yoke, I made use of 1 yard of this Ankara print fabric and a zipper which will be in the center front of this dress. The length of the zipper you'll be using depends on how long you want your dress to be. So the length of the zipper is 30 inches. So let's get started. So this is my fabric, which is 2 yards, and I folded it into two equally. And I further folded this fabric into two again. So I practically folded this fabric into four, which simply means that after cutting I should have both my front piece and back piece of the dress. Now take note that I left about 1 inch distance from this fold. So this extra 1 inch on this side of the fold is the zipper allowance, which will be in the center front of the dress. So obviously you'll see that this Ankara print has a pattern, and because I want to follow the pattern, the first thing I did was to mark the full length of the dress. So the full length of my dress is 38 inches. I added 2 inches allowance to the bottom, which made it 40 inches. So the next thing I'll do is to roll the starting line, which also serves as the shoulder line. Now from this side of the fold, I would mark my neck width. So the neck width is 3 inches, while the neck depth for the back piece is 1 inch. Now I connected both points together. So I'm also going to be marking the neck depth for the front piece. So the neck depth for the front piece is 4 inches, and I connected it to the neck width as shown. So this will be a reference when I'm ready to route the front piece of the neckline. The next step is to place half of my shoulder measurement on the shoulder line, which is my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I have 7 inches. So I placed 7 inches on this line without adding any allowance since it is sleeveless dress. Now I marked 1 inch below this point to connect it to the neck width, and this will be the shoulder slope for this dress. Now from this point, I'll place my tape vertically downwards to mark my armhole circumference divided by 2 to connect the tip of the shoulder slope to my armhole measurement. Now I extended this point horizontally, and this line would be called the bust line. Now to get the armhole curve, I placed my tape on this armhole line to mark the midpoint and connected the midpoint to form a curved line meeting the bust line as shown. Alright, after this has been done, the next thing I did was to place my tape directly on my shoulder line vertically downwards to mark my waistline. My waistline is 15 inches. The next line I'll be marking is the hip line. My hip line is 25.5 inches. Now on the bust line, I'll place my bust circumference divided by 4 plus 3 inches allowance to the side. My waist circumference divided by 4 is 7 inches plus 3 inches allowance to the side. The next measurement to place is the hip circumference. My hip circumference divided by 4 is 9.5 inches, and I also added 3 inches sewing allowance to the side and connected this point to the waistline as shown. Now whatever measurement I have on my hip line with the sewing allowance included, I would place it directly on the hem line to connect the point to the hip circumference as shown. Alright, so before trimming out, I'll be adding half-inch sewing allowance to the top of the shoulder slope, in which I'll be attaching both my front piece and the back piece conveniently. The next step is to start trimming from the armhole side. Then trim out the neckline for just the back piece first. Alright, to trim out the neckline for the front piece, I would raise the back piece and use the initial curve I did for the front piece neckline. in tracing the neckline directly on this fabric. Now I'll trim this out, and since I don't need this initial curve I did anymore, I'm going to clean it off. So now I'll go ahead to trim out the sides of the dress. So I'd like us to understand something here. A lot of people feel like when making shift dresses or kaftan dresses, you should make it without including a dart. So if you want your A-line or shift dress to have a nice fitting, you need to include a dart on the back piece of the dress. And to go about this, I'll be placing my tape on the bust line to mark half of my bust span, which is also the nipple to nipple distance. Now from this point, I place my tape vertically to mark the length of my dart. So the length of my dart here is 10 inches. Now I would connect both points together. After connecting both points together, I would place my tape to mark the midpoint of this line and then mark half inch on both sides. Then connect this half inch point to the tip of the dart as shown. After doing this, I would raise the back piece to mark the second dart following the same point I chalked initially. Now once I have the two darts marked, I would spread out the back piece and take this to my sewing machine to stitch the darts. So for this first dart, I'll just take this to my sewing machine to follow the direction of the chalk and also do the same for the second dart. Obviously the dart has been properly secured. Now I'll go ahead to fold the back piece into two equally to place it directly on the front piece. So just make sure that the shoulders are equal. Alright, so because of this dart that is on the back piece, you realize that the back piece is now looking smaller than the front piece on this bust region. So what I will do now is to trim out the excess fabric on the front piece alone. So just in case you're interested in attaching side pockets to the dress, you should place the tape from the shoulder line vertically downwards to mark the point to which you want the pocket to start. So I want my pocket to start from 20 inches. Now I'll go ahead to notch the points I marked so that when I'm ready to attach the pocket, I'll be able to identify where the pocket should start from. Alright, so this is all about the markings. The next step is to cut out the facing that you would use in turning the neckline neatly. So this is the facing for the neckline on the back piece. Now I'll place this on this neckline, right side to right side, to stitch by half an inch, following the direction of the chalk. After stitching, I'll flip the facing inward. To cut out the facing for the front piece, you should fold the fabric into two, and then you cut out the length of 15 inches. So the reason I folded this fabric into two is because the front piece is actually in two pieces because of the center zipper. Alright, now I would place the neckline on this folded piece to trim out the shoulder slope and the neckline. After this, I'll curve the edges of the facing. The next step is to place the facing on the right side of the front piece, and then you stitch the neckline down to the slits as shown, following the direction of the chalk. And you should do the same stitching process for the other side of the front piece as well. Alright, I've stitched the facing on the back piece, and I've also stitched the facing of the front piece as well. You can see how neat it is. The next step is to attach the shoulder of the front piece to the back piece. To do this, you should place one side of the front piece on this side of the shoulder and then use the facing of the back piece to cover the facing and shoulder of both the front piece and stitch by half inch. Now I'll do the same for the other side of the shoulder. The next step is to use a bias tape to secure the armhole of this dress. So the next step is on how to get the width measurements for the yoke. Now to do this, I placed my tape from the shoulder joining on the armhole region to mark 5.5 inches. And I'll also do the same by marking 5.5 inches from the shoulder joining on this other side of the armhole region. Now I went ahead to also mark 5.5 inches on the back piece from the shoulder line as well, and to also mark 5.5 inches from the shoulder joining on this side of the armhole region. Now on the top of the neckline on the front piece, I marked 3 inches downward on both sides to connect these 2 points together. And here I have 8.5 inches, and to connect these 2 points together I also have 8.5 inches. So 8.5 inches plus 8.5 inches is 17 inches. Now on the back piece, I'll take the measurements between these 2 points I chalked. Here I have it to be 15 inches, so I'm also going to be adding that 17 inches plus 15 inches. After this has been done, I would fold the front piece on the back piece as shown. To place the measurements of the upper arm circumference. So from this pictorial illustration, the upper arm circumference is like the distance from the armhole at the front to the armhole at the back. So when I took that measurement, I had 9 inches, and I decided to add 1 inch allowance to that, which made it 10. So 10 divided by 2 is 5. That's why my tape is folded into 2 here. So 10 on this side, and on this other side, I'll be having 10 inches. So since I had 10 inches on both sides, I added it together, which made it 20 inches. Now I would add that 20 inches to the previous figures I have, and altogether it will become 52 inches. Alright, so this simply means that the width of the yoke should be 52 inches. Alright, so this is the fabric I'll be using for the yoke. I folded the fabric into two, and I further folded this fabric into two again. So I practically folded this fabric into four. As calculated initially, the width of the yoke is 52 inches. So to get the circumference of this yoke, I would divide 52 inches by 6.28, and this would give me 8.3 inches. Now from this side of the fold, I would place the tape to mark 8.3 inches, making sure that the top of my tape remains at the tip of this edge. So once this has been done, the next thing you should do is to mark the length of the yoke. So it depends on how long or short you want your yoke to be. But I want mine to be 7 inches. So by the time I secure the hem of the yoke, it becomes 6 inches. Now before cutting out, I'll be adding 1 inch sewing allowance to the top of the yoke circumference. Now you should spread out the first fold, so the yoke could be folded into two like this. On the edge of one side, I marked 1 inch and connected it to this tip to trim out these sharp edges. Alright, so once you've done this, the next thing you want to do here is to fold the yoke circumference all through. But if you have an overlocking machine, you can weave the edges before folding it by 1/2 inch. So after doing this, the next thing you want to do is to fold the hem of the yoke 1/2 inch in and further fold it by 1/2 inch. The next step is to secure this edge by folding it half inch and further folding it by half inch, and to also secure this other edge of the yoke by folding it half inch and further folding it by half inch. Alright, the yoke is ready, and the next step is on how to attach it. So I folded the yoke into two and used a chalk to mark the midpoint. Now I went ahead to place the tape on the back piece to also mark the midpoint. So I connected the 3 points together that was marked initially, and now I'll be placing the midpoint of this yoke directly on the midpoint I chalked on the back piece to pin together. So I went ahead to just keep pinning to the upper arm hole that was marked initially. Now the next step is to place this other sides of the yoke on the front piece. So recall that there is a zipper allowance in the center front. So I had to keep a distance of about 1 inch. Alright, so I went ahead to place the edge of the yoke directly on this point I chopped, and then I kept pinning to the upper armhole. I'll do the same for the other side of the front piece. Alright, so I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch the yoke following the direction of my finger. So the yoke has been properly stitched together. The next thing is to attach the pockets to the sides of the dress. So recall that I actually notched the pockets initially. So what I just did was to cut 4 pieces of the pocket and then attached it separately to the sides. Alright, since the pocket has been attached, I'll place the front piece directly on the back piece as shown. To secure the sides by 1 inch following the direction of the chalk. So I'll take the dress to the sewing machine to secure the hem by folding it 1 inch in and further folding it in by 1 inch. The final step is to attach a zipper to the center front of this dress. So whatever zipper you choose to use, just make sure it's an open and close zipper that can be separated and then zipped together. Alright, so the next thing I'll do is to place the wrong side of this zipper on the hem to pin it all through. When you get to the top of the zipper stopper, you should fold in the excess zipper and then pin it here. So after stitching, you'd have it looking this way. Now I'll do the same for the other side of the zipper allowance. Here I placed the wrong side of the zipper on the zipper allowance starting from the M as well. Make sure it's equal with the placement you did on the other side. On getting to the zipper stopper, you should also fold the excess tape here and then you pin. Now I'll take this to the sewing machine to stitch. The next step is to place an hemming gum on the neck slit to hold the neck slits properly. After which I'll also take it to the ironing board to iron the neck slits. Alright guys, thanks for watching to the very end. This is the final outcome of this dress and I hope this tutorial was helpful. You should give it a try, and if you are new to my channel, kindly subscribe, share and like my videos, and also put on your notification bell to be notified when I upload new tutorials. Thank you.